I'll turn it back to you.
I think a novel could be written by 5 people, but I thought it came out very well. Of course, the base was very good to start with. And I'm sorry I interrupted you. Further I left my papers there yesterday. I was working on personal model in the office there, and it started raining on it.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is Alyssa Sabeto. I work for the Wyndham Regional Commission. I'm a senior planner there, and I'm going to talk to you tonight about RIVER. So RIVER is an acronym, and it stands for the Resilience Initiative for Vermont Empowerment and Recovery. And yeah, it's sponsored jointly through, it's FEMA money that comes down to Vermont Emergency Management and the Vermont Housing and Community Development Board, or Housing and Conservation Board, and is distributed through those 3 entities. So that's how it's funneled. So an overview of what RIVER is. It is a project dedicated to developing locally supported ideas for reducing flood damage in areas particularly hard hit from the July flooding. So the map here, and I hope all of you can see this, but the map here shows just a statewide visibility as to who's getting this money. So this isn't every town in the state. It is just those towns that Vermont Emergency Management found to be particularly hard hit. So in the Wyndham region, that includes Jamaica, Londonderry, and Weston. And throughout the state, there are 2 cities, 13 towns, and 4 villages that this project is working within. So the overarching goal is to implement projects that lessen flood damages in those particularly vulnerable communities. All right, so.
Sorry, is there a radio on somewhere?
Yeah, I'm hearing myself.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I was having trouble because I was hearing myself like 3 sentences prior. Okay. So RIVER brings planning and technical support to this project development and application development. So planning support comes through Wyndham Regional Commission, myself, and then we have technical engineering support through Stone Environmental and their subconsultants who, and Megan will speak to that in a little bit. And then the culmination of the work will be grant applications, a set of applications to FEMA for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program funding that is currently available now for projects to move forward in 2025 and beyond. So right now there is a $90 million pot of money for mitigation that stems from the July event. With all of the damage statewide, a portion of that, a percentage of that is set aside for a future mitigation fund, and that's what this is. And that's the largest pot of money that HMGP has ever had in our state. So it is an unprecedented opportunity to think big and do some really influential projects. As well,
When you're saying projects, I mean, that encompasses a lot of things. Can you give a couple of examples of?
yeah, we
Later
will
in the-
touch on that
okay, all right.
in this discussion. Yeah, and that's part of what we're here tonight to talk about. And there's some projects that have already been, well, developed somewhat a little in discussion phase at the towns, and as well as this $90 million pot, projects ideas can come from this river work that aren't going to be hazard mitigation eligible or won't work for that program for some reason. So we can still identify alternate funding sources and kind of just suggest those to the towns. So it's intended to be a comprehensive look at flood mitigation for each of the towns, with the idea that a couple of projects will move forward that are really going to be impactful. And the other thing about this particular hazard mitigation grant program pot is that it doesn't have a local match requirement. So typically this money is a 75% match source. So with 25% local match is required for this money typically. But this time the state had budgeted that match as a line item and it passed. So the state is covering that 25%. And so I've never seen that in my 10 years working in this state. So that's pretty incredible opportunity. Okay, so the process of this river project is the projects are all locally driven by the town select boards. They are the primary entity that everything funnels through at the local level, with public input going into that. And the engagement process combines local, regional, and state perspective for project ideas. So we have Marie Caduto here. She's with the State District Environmental, or no, the State Department of Environmental Conservation. And she's providing some state perspective, state guidance from a scientific perspective, and we're bringing all types of ideas together to come up with what we have as our total list of project ideas. And that's what we're in right now. We're in the engagement phase with getting local public input on project ideas. And then coming soon, we will be meeting, Megan and I will be meeting with Vermont Emergency Management to vet the projects that we have come up with. And that will kind of, move some into a FEMA bucket, others into a non-FEMA bucket, and we'll bring that list of potential FEMA projects back to the town to have the select boards formally select which ones they want to move forward with application development on. So that will take place in August, September. So things are moving on this. It is something that has distinct deadlines that are coming up, and so we are action oriented. And then after that, after the projects are selected, the engineering and application development process occurs, primarily through Megan and her team. And that's going to be really, honestly, probably the most time-consuming part, I would think. And there's a lot of technical engineering work that goes into that, as well as doing benefit cost analysis, which is a FEMA requirement. And then finally, the applications will be submitted for this current HMGP round. So for an overarching thought-out strategy, we're conducting a public process informed by engineering expertise to create a targeted list of locally supported, feasible priority projects likely to be funded through the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. All right, and as far as gathering project ideas, that's the primary point of tonight, is to have you provide feedback on ideas that we have thought of so far, and also share any new ideas that you have for these three communities. And this project also on the web page, which you'll see on the next slide, there is a way to input project ideas right on the website. And that's this form here. That's just a snap of that. And then we also have paper forms of the same information asked for on the website, so you can fill out this paper as well, if that's easier for you. So, and then obviously this forum is really a big piece of gathering those ideas. So here is the website, riverprojectsvt.org. My information and Megan's. So I encourage you to stick around, take a look at the maps, and I'll talk a bit about the format of our evening after I hand it over to Megan to share some things from her end. So, thank you.
Try not to trip. Hi. Okay, so Alyssa already mentioned this, but Stone and our team that we are working with was hired specifically to provide the technical assistance to develop these projects to a point where they're ready to apply for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program funding. We have SEAM Solutions on our team, Stephanie over here, providing support through the BCA process and also in determining eligibility of these projects. Stevens and Associates, some of you may know, they focus really more on the architectural side, so they're complementing that environmental and water resources engineering expertise that Stone and Streamworks are bringing to our team. So we're kind of ready to think about all the different types of projects that we could pursue and pull from those different expertise to work on the engineering part. And today we're here to sort of brainstorm and learn from all of you what areas of your towns you're really seeing these flood issues, and then also ideas for projects you may have. There's certain types of projects that are eligible for Hazard Mitigation Grant Program funding. Not every type of project fits in that kind of bucket or box. So the first kind of broad category would be natural resource restoration projects. This can be any effort related to floodplain restoration or lowering and reconnecting to help store floodwaters, slow floodwaters down. It could also be dam removals, and this isn't really the removal of a flood control dam, but those old dams that aren't really serving a purpose anymore. And we have lots of them in Vermont, many we don't even really know about. And sometimes what you'll see is that the sediment is building up behind these dams, and then a flood happens, and you're seeing flooding of the properties upstream of the dams. So removal of that type of dam is something that we can look for here. Infrastructure projects, so bridge and culvert replacement and upsizing, making those more compatible with our river systems and more resilient to flooding. Floodproofing is another one that falls in this funding bucket, as well as structurally elevating buildings. And then road relocation, elevation, or stabilization can also potentially be eligible, and buyouts also fall under the hazard mitigation program. Okay. And these are pictures that are just examples of what some of these projects can look like. So we have a bridge replacement with some plantings on the Banks and riparian area. We have a stream post-dam removal where we lowered the banks and the channel upstream of the dam, providing storage. This was kind of a cool one. This is in Wilmington. And the property owner upstream had a culvert and driveway that kept just being inundated. And now I guess it's not as often being inundated, which is great. So they're seeing kind of the benefits of that lowering of the water surface elevation associated with the dam removal. Another culvert replacement, the bottom of that culvert's completely rusted out. The riprap on the side often fails. It has to be replaced in flood scenarios, and that road accesses a school and town garage. So it's critical for town facilities and infrastructure. So thinking about those connection points around your towns that are really important for getting to their resources. This is an image from a Streamworks project where several homes were bought out following significant and repeated flooding, and they completed a stream restoration project through that area. So they added sinuosity of the channel, removed the kind of historic straightening of the river in that section, and replaced some culverts for mitigation. The middle one is an SNA project, so that's work on Dot Steiner down in Wilmington. following flooding. And then the other one is an example of root wads or nature-based solutions for bank stabilization. So just
Sorry, could you say that again?
the last one, that's the use of root wads for bank stabilization. So in some cases that can be an alternative to using riprap. So those are just some photos to get ideas flowing as we brainstorm. We're going to take all the ideas that we get from today and from talking with select board members and others in town and evaluate the projects based on their eligibility for the hazard mitigation grant program funding, community alignment, so are these projects aligned with what you all are envisioning for your towns, flood mitigation potential, feasibility, can we actually construct this, is it something we can do, permitting ease or constraints, is it something we will be allowed to do, and cost effectiveness. All of these projects need to go through the benefit cost analysis process with FEMA to show that the benefits outweigh the cost of the project. And then I think back to you.
Can we get this deck?
Yeah,
If you've got
sure.
everybody's email, it would be great. I'm taking pictures of it here on my camera.
Yeah, no need
That's
to.
probably not the ideal way to.
No, we
to
can
do
get this
that.
to you. That's not
Yeah.
a problem.
Great, thanks.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Megan. All right, so yeah, so tonight, what the format of our most of our time tonight is going to be breakout sessions. So each town is going to has a spot. So this is going to be Londonderry, and then over there is Jamaica, and back in the corner is Weston. And we have maps of each of the towns to get you thinking, and so you can point at stuff that you know about and want to talk about with us. We'll have one of each of us at the stations. We probably will rotate at some point so that all three of us can hear what from every town. But in addition to maps, we have tables at each station. So this is some of the ideas that we've heard thus far. And so part of this meeting is to gauge public support for different efforts so that the town select boards have that information going into their decision-making process. So you can either vote with one of these, which my kids kindly let you borrow for the evening, or there's dots. So either way, we're hoping that you can put some dots in this column next to the ones that you're most interested in seeing. And then at the same time, if you have ideas that aren't on here, we have sticky notes at each table. So please write your ideas and put them in the box at the bottom. So we're hoping to capture everything and feedback on existing ideas and new ones. So thank you again for your time. And yeah, Marie.
Hi. I just want to say, we beyond the HMDP funding that FEMA is providing, we also have state clean water funding. And what I do is find projects and get those implemented on the ground. So please think about the other things that are maybe outside of the bucket that HMDP will be able to fund, because we have other funding that we can bring to the table and make things happen. So.
Yeah, this is really intended to be a holistic look. Not everything has to be the FEMA bucket, so we want to have a fulsome conversation about all of the vulnerabilities. Go ahead, Tom.
USDA Rural Development has grant programs here for some different projects.
Yep.
And HUD actually told us at the flood seminar at Stratton that they can do culvert projects as well.
Yeah, there's all kinds of funding sources. So.
Good.
Yeah. Any other questions before we do breakouts? Go ahead.
So would this funding cover anything like beginning to develop, like removing businesses from areas that typically flood in a big event to somewhere else and building something new, so they have a place?
Yeah, like a
to
buyout. Yeah, the buyout.
But not
Or
just buying out,
relocation.
relocating them so they can continue in their business but not
Yes,
get flooded.
relocation. Yep, yep.
Okay.
Those kind of projects are eligible, both buyouts and relocations. Yep. Yes.
I'm kind of curious about the dredging of the river. A while ago, after we had a flood, there were some scientists came and walked around the town with us and looked at the rivers. And they said dredging was not a good thing. And after Irene, they shouldn't have done the dredging that they did do. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, dredging, yeah, isn't something that the state environmental conservation
Excuse me,
supports.
it would be really helpful to know what time you're talking about.
Oh, me?
Yeah, dredging. Is this dredging in Jamaica or dredging in
I don't
Weston
know,
or
they were from
dredging in?
the state, and they were talking about it dredging in general as a repair after the flooding.
Okay.
So they walked around town to several spots with us, and that was just one observation they made. It was in general.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that Marie can probably speak to that. She's
The
in.
lucky one. So there's a lot of different impacts when you dredge a river, and in some locations, after a storm like this where things have piled up, it is allowed very occasionally, depending on the situation. In general, it's not allowed because it's a very temporary fix. And unfortunately, what happens is if you basically, a dredge is going to be an elevation change. So in a way, it's a large hole. And as the river comes down from above, all it does is dump sediment back in the hole, and it fills it right up. And it also causes more erosion downstream. It's just the dynamics of how the river and the earth play together and don't play together. And so the effort to dredge on a whole has a negative impact on both the ecology of the river and the morphology of the structure of the river. So it's generally not allowed except in kind of these emergency cases where it's not going to be happening in Jamaica.
That's more or less
Yeah.
what they were saying.
But it's a very, very rare situation where it's allowed.
Thank you.
Vermont Digger just had a good article on it today.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Well, thank you. I see representatives from every town. So thank you all for being here tonight. And with that, I would say we do have food in the back. I'll go and make sure that's all set up, but grab and drinks in the cooler. So I will set out some wraps, and with that, it's a wrap, and you can go and find the town. Again, Weston, Londonderry, and Jamaica.
And if you haven't signed in, if you could sign in on the sign sheet over there, that'd be great.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I will.
Hey, Alyssa, I'm sorry, this is completely different than what you said it was going to be the first hour Jamaica, second hour
Yeah, we had
London.
to change it because it just wasn't.
Right? Yeah. So,
And we could
I mean,
never put an agenda.
I don't know how many people from Weston are thinking that this is 367, but that's what I told them.
Well, that's
So
fine.
this is going to be over by then, right?
Well, it'll be over at 7, so even if they don't show up till 6, they still. But I didn't hear that. I knew it was 4. Yeah, because of the flyer, we just
No, no, no.
couldn't agenda.
Yeah, this was presented to us at Weston. It was said that the first hour was going to be Jamaica, the second hour was going to be London Person, and the third hour was going to be Weston.
Londonderry, is everybody there interested in Londonderry? So I'm Stephanie. If there's ideas, like, be supporting business relocation. Are the Londonderry maps underneath that? I mean, I know this is the whole river corridor. I think they did that because the wind was blowing, so. There we go. So one map.
I'll wait till you're done.
Here, sorry, I your face. A lot of material. So this is a larger map of the area, and then this is more of the village area. And North Londonderry. This is Londonderry. That's a mapping of this. It's the same. That's the old one, the larger map. So the south also, only the north. So they weren't sure. There we go. Right there.
They can fit in there.
We don't have to. So just stand here like this. So the idea is it's your town. So this is, so the hash marks is the FEMA flood area. The yellow is the river corridor. Just to kind of give you an idea of what that means. Yeah, this is What's that? Before my house. I think that is a misleading.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Figuring out where
I give you more credit than that is a choice.
Maybe it's up in here.
we'll expect that I'm trying to figure out to make
I don't see where any of these.
because when you bridge and you go to Hamilton Falls,
That matches that. Can they do something with it? Is that potential project? It should, yeah, but are they? I can't see this anywhere else because I was wondering about culverts.
There was one, again, this map, because there were some culverts that they were replacing. I want to say Springfield, which is up in the there. Yeah, it's up there.
And you can specifically rate, make a note,
Yeah.
And so this floodproofing is that this blue line under?
Yeah, that's, no, that's the river itself.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if that, any of these things are on this map.
The south can you get into, get going, and get the project started.
Yeah.
I'm concerned if you go in 10 different directions, nothing will happen. So that's my concern.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the application development, I mean, it depends on what the store, is the store floodproofing or bio?
It's neither one of those. It might be and you know, depending on what the data shows, you know, I mean, that's what the data shows. Here you've got a firehouse. Hello. You know, we've got the playhouse, you know, floodproofing of any sort, and it might be in conjunction, you know, it might not just be those.
Okay, Jen, you're in. What else you got? Want anything else on your short list?
Is this the guy above the firehouse potentially?
Well, these are just generic areas that we're looking at. If there's something specific, we're supposed to write it on a post-it. So,
But I kind of noted, so they should have already done it from Vermont State. I said, did anything just, it got sent to Brian Lundberg and it went nowhere else. You know, nobody even talked about it. So, okay, thank you.
oh, do you want that? It's going to be right there.
Whatever you want to do, yeah, that's fine.
She's got great handwriting.
Yeah, more scribblers.
You've got great handwriting. But, you know, if, I know that we didn't want to, you know, not the end goal there. However,
Library and the town office. If we go that way,
all I'm saying is,
I mean, so this project, you know, we can have 10, 20 projects.
I just personally know that I have to commit to it.
I think you should say something like key.
The more dots, the higher it is on the list.
The river project, we're only going to be able to support the operation development, right? And with the dam, the that'll be Right. That doesn't mean that we can't
Yeah, I mean, like this flood money, like this other, I mean, these are all things I've heard about, but I almost did.
So, listen, what about, so I was just describing the land.
That's okay.
Being able to widen the channel straight from the 2 weeks or
There's also the idea of the village to create a series of lots in the land and then make that like
One storage area.
well, that's what this container is.
so that's what it will do, and that's will be, so maybe a generator in there.
And what about putting one in the middle? It's kind of weird. Not up in the middle.
Well, that's, no, I mean, that's a round,
That's more of a dredge situation.
I don't know, it's not a dredge. It's not a dredge. I know a dredge is. We're just saying, you're asking how the higher of, well, you see it on the way to Rutland. You know, all the rivers are piled up in the middle of the road.
yeah, because you make
That's a problem. What can we do for these?
It's not possible to raise it because it's not feasible.
I know that there was a, in Londonderry,
Yes. And then this is the list of ideas that are amazing.
there was a property in Londonderry that the owner actually elevated his building. As far as I know, he doesn't have any.
I'm just gonna lean in there and wait for it. Right, if I could.
Yeah, and that was right next to my companions. It's not an easy fix.
Any questions on what we're actually looking at right now? I can help answer.
Spring Hill. The Spring Hill Road culvert, did they replace that?
We put it back where it was now. We are working in, we have federal funds to pass through V-Trans, but it's federal. So we have about $400 and something thousand of the 800 that would be finishing. And we've been working on that, we were working on that project for years before. So we're still just trying to find money. Been asking FEMA if they just finish it off, but that doesn't seem to be going anywhere yet.
Through the, what do they call it, the local roads program.
Yeah.
Start piggybacking grant money.
Yeah, we used the local roads, I believe, we used for the engineering. And then we got more, which is the federal factory grant, which comes with a lot of engineering and stuff, a lot of extra stuff you gotta do, so it takes a little longer. But there's still about $400 or so thousand left. And that project, I think, is supposed to be done next year.
I don't know what Cobble Hill is. Or Barker Road.
Cobble Hill Road Bridge. That's the one going up by the dump, the one that got really destroyed. It wasn't washed out completely this time. Irene, it was gone except for the abutments. Yeah.
So is that a complete rebuild after Irene?
After Irene, it was the deck at least. The abutments were still there.
Really?
Yeah. But
Did
everything
they wash
else was.
around the back of the abutments also?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this time it was washed around the abutments about 8 feet deep in spots. And the abutments are from 1919, if I remember correctly.
So I would say the abutments are probably not wide enough.
They're not wide enough.
They're not in line with the.
Yeah. The hydraulic study says it needs to go from a 44-foot to a 68-foot, I believe. And we've been working with FEMA so far without any progress on replacing that bridge. Reinhardt Road?
Yeah.
That is on Barker. So Barker Road, do you know what I'm talking about?
Not a clue. Tell me who used to live there and I might pop out.
Let's see what I can find here. Oh, we need a bubble up in here.
Are we in? This is the
north, south, and.
Oh, this is the whole.
Yeah, this is the entire map.
Oh, wait. That's good.
But he was helping our community a tremendous amount.
So this is Barker Road, right off Hell's Peak.
Okay, all right, I know.
And this is Reinhardt Road. So there's a culvert on Reinhardt Road. That got washed out the Friday before the flood. They completely fixed it. Washed out again during the flood. That one's washed out so many times. Right now it's looking like FEMA might replace that for us with a box culvert. But then there's another one right here below it, Barker Road. And if we upsize the one culvert and we don't upsize that one next flood is going to be gone. That's another one we're looking at.
I don't think I've ever been up there. This 90 million is for the whole state.
Yeah.
And then what we put in, what we would like to do, and determine how much that costs, and then they decide if they can give it to us. And does that 90 million include the floods up north that just happened, or that's a go?
There will be another set of funding that comes down the line, but it's probably not going to be as big of a package.
So we were really.
And you're getting 100% match, so you don't
we got
have to pay
lucky.
anything.
I don't know how lucky they're going to get on the second round.
Right.
Yeah, we got a lot of
dam, it's just a
It's not we're going to take it out and we'll just.
well, I mean, it would be covered 100%, the removal, yes. But, yeah, so, I mean, as far as, but basically, these places, Weston and Hart, there's no solution that changes things entirely, But in North Londonderry, they're in a very good spot. I'm hopeful that the dam removal in Weston will cause more.
Right, well, that's what I was just saying, if you can make a change upstream, that might help them.
Yeah, exactly. If you could put in floodplain lowering above the village, combined with the dam.
A viable option.
Yeah, with the property owners, of course.
So that's why I'm saying, just like throw every, sort of, your stakeholders, so every possible floodplain elevation. Yes. Lowering, floodplain lowering.
Yeah, you can
We're gonna write it in.
Yeah, let's write it in.
Is that part of floodplain restoration?
floodplain restoration would be more like tree planting and like restoring the floodplain to a non-developed, bringing it back to a
What
natural.
does floodplain lowering actually do? So let's.
It would be actually changing the level of the ground. So you'd be like digging out.
Digging out so that you have a reservoir, you have a place for the water to hang a little bit.
It's like a wide area that's lower. So, and then it would be replanted.
Right,
So
exactly.
it still has,
And slow the water down.
Yeah,
Right,
hold
right.
it and slow it and let it seep in.
Floodplain lowering, floodplain is all the fields north of town.
I spoke with Joe
So
yesterday.
if you lower the floodplain, first of all, you gotta take away all the topsoil. Because if I'm a landowner, I'm not gonna let you lower my fields by just scraping off the topsoil. Right, so you get rid of all the topsoil, now you excavate, 500 truck loads of gravel and stuff.
Yeah, and then we talk
And then you put all that topsoil back,
And then plant it.
and then
To hold it in
plant
place.
Yeah.
I mean, we should. $90 million.
But then if you think about the amount of permanent flood storage you have there,
That's huge.
I mean, that's a game changer for your village.
And that's it's on the list as a possible. I think you can leave it as a possible.
Yeah.
Here's my dots, Jim.
Good.
And
I'm gonna put my dots.
stick some
It's
dots
so
on
good
there.
to see you guys thinking big.
Oh, well,
Sometimes
you know Denny's,
It's one small area that we can all agree that needs remediation.
yeah, okay.
And this
Yeah.
example, if we don't get those,
Or if those don't work. That's the other thing. If they don't,
WCA says, no way, we're taking down the dam.
you guys should meet.
yeah.
Good. Thank you so much for your time.
So, Denny's idea is to, this is Londonderry. You know where, Peter Dernier's house right by the river on 100? Just above there, you build a dam, a Ball Mountain Dam. Okay? Then you buy out Pat Beveridge and Kyle Road and Chris Kujak, all those houses, and then have an open sluice gate so the river just runs through it. Okay? Okay? And then when the flood comes, you close the sluice gate, or you open it just a little so you can let it, the right amount of water is, what is that amount? I don't know.
That's an idea.
It's an idea.
That's Bridge 98.
What we're talking about is spending
Well, Bridge 98.
all of that $90 million.
I bet.
Yeah, probably.
Let's talk about what's realistic. I
Right.
think there's anybody wondering what
I'll take one of that.
I think we've got two viable projects that we're working toward. I do believe that it's the same old story, is that a little bit above what we're trying to do that we need to deal with. And once,
I gotta text Jeff and tell him that he doesn't need to come. He'll be glad.
okay.
I mean, it's waiting on the data.
Did you dot? Can you please dot?
I will dot.
There's nothing to dot. Howie, did you dot?
I did.
Okay, beautiful. We'll get Deb to dot, and I think we know what we're leaning toward.
You got twisted coconut? No. Thank you.
Above the
Yeah. I'm gonna go look at the map, Jen.
Yeah.
Deb, will you
Yeah, I mean, I literally have recommendations from the state that I was able to find that there should have been floodproofing done for that building. That it never even made it to the membership. You know, I mean, just so busy cleaning up after the latest flood. Yeah, I've been waiting on our data, right? We'll put lots of dots here. She's got all these dots, right? Yeah. What data available, like, well, she knows. Does she know? She knows. Alyssa knows what.
Maybe even older than me. But
DNK
I gave him
data mid-August, right? Mid-August.
publication. And I'll make I think so, yeah, that's why I brought this.
Yeah, you guys are like light years ahead.
Here's what I think we ought to meet, because we're done, right?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see what the ideas are and have an idea what's in the hopper.
This was off for a minute, so they haven't filled this out.
Oh, that's okay. It's fine. I like all the dots. Yeah.
What did she do? She got the band there?
Good.
It's a lot of.
So, here's ours. BEO is already doing a BCA for this one.
Okay. Perfect. That's good to know.
I don't know where they are.
I used to work in the town of Londonderry. I'm sorry. 79.
Yeah, and these were some of these were the ones that we saw when we were about.
This one might be, FEMA might be the most possible. Not good recognition. FEMA guy does all that. Once the culvert's washed out, you can't put that. There's no way. You're not allowed to. You have to upside it.
The plan is to balance it, but we do have more work to do. The main thing is going to be holding this up. Is the bathroom, right? We're still had some more hang-ups on that.
Is that 320 or is this, I mean, place where you're in there, or?
Just getting, yeah, the construction.
This culvert was completely gone.
I'm sure it'll be moving forward.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to No, we put it back in because we had to get people out. The rules, a lot of people even in the state know we're in there. Once that culvert's gone, displaced, you cannot put it back. You have to go up upside to put it yeah, the culvert's completely gone. You were never supposed to put that back.
V-Trans codes and standards?
And we argued about those. Bill, because he used to work with me, and he used to EMD and Grafton. So we went through everything, we finally found something that says that culvert's dislodged. Not put it back, we have something. And so he brought it up to the state and FEMA. So they know about it now. And there was a lot of people in the state who didn't know that that was in there.
I mean, that totally makes, if this was a federal highway road, then you would have to.
Bill's like the dog with the bone. He goes to get the big.
So he's the EMD for Grafton, you said?
And we were fortunate enough to find his number, and he worked for FEMA, so he did all our paperwork.
It sounds like it could
Between
work.
us and Grafton, we might have the most money. We've gotten 500,000 so far. A lot of towns, but I'm very low. That's where they got anything.
Yeah, I think so. I met with Grafton this afternoon.
Yeah, and I wonder if
got
there's,
their first payment.
so what you can do is relocate, but not,
It's kind of crazy.
Well, without Bill, I don't know where.
yeah, purchase or relocate.
He costs me, when you go to see like staff, it's like this one,
Depending
this,
on how much of
that.
that is
They all go.
He must have read the stat of that.
Oh yeah, he used to work for them. He can quote it. Yeah. He can quote it to them, and they're going, huh? Like alcohol. It's all there.
Another thing, like, I was,
Since the emergency management building, one of Florida Cruise.
okay.
And as you can see,
Did it
this
get
is all
cut off
flooded
last
from
year?
I got a good one last year. As far as everybody got
This building was, I think, John on the same thing. I can't take the trailers on board then, but this last one, this building signed up to the fine, so it was completely cut off. The road crew was stuck here. Yeah, the road crew was stuck here till about 10 p.m. They couldn't leave.
So one thing I was talking to folks at the table about was thinking about some like either property